Everybody, Jackson with Saints in the South here, and just wanted to maybe share something a little extra motivating for you, hopefully. As I've said earlier in the week or on the release podcast, if you've listened to it, David and Goliath is my favorite biblical story of all time, actually, my favorite scripture story of all time. And there's a lot that you can take from the story of David and Goliath. And I love it so much so that I had my wife make me a t-shirt. And on the back of the t-shirt, you've got David facing off against Goliath, and you'll see it here as I'm working out. But the title of that is Slaying My Goliath. And I'm very intentional about that because I do believe that we face many Goliaths in our lives. We face them on a weekly basis. Sometimes those Goliaths are short-lived. Sometimes those Goliaths are live a long time. And it may take more than one stone to slay the Goliath. As you know, David, he only had to use one stone. He was prepared with 5 stones, but he only had to use one. And I know that in our lives, sometimes we have to use more than one stone, or we have to come back at it again and again in order to ultimately defeat the Goliath in our lives. And of course, Goliath can apply in many different ways, many different aspects. But I also wanted to share a scripture with you here. Let me share my screen here real quick. But this comes from 1 Samuel chapter 17 in verse 29. And you see here, it says, and David said, what have I now done? Is there not a cause? He was reminding his brethren that there was a cause in the battles that they were participating in against the Philistines. The Philistines were a Gentile people. They were not a covenant people, as Israel had been brought up to be a covenant people. They were God's people. And so David was simply reminding them of that they had a cause greater than themselves, and to allow this Goliath, this Philistine, to defy God was a huge letdown to themselves and to their God. And David was speaking from experience. He had already faced a lion and a bear that he had killed previously in protecting his flock and sheep of his father. And so Goliath was something to be conquered. He was 9 feet 9 tall, 9 feet 9 inches tall, but he wasn't God, and he also wasn't part of the covenant people. And so David was simply saying, look, guys, there's a cause here greater than us. We are God's people, and if we exercise faith, we can conquer Goliath and conquer the Philistines. And so we know that he went on and did that. He chose 5 stones, and he only ended up needing 1. And he also went with his strengths, the sling and the rocks. He didn't use the armor or the sword or the shield or anything that Saul had given him, but he went with his strengths. And so that's a reminder that as we move forward throughout our life, that to utilize the strengths, utilize the talents that we've been blessed with, and we could go about our daily activities. And when those Goliaths show up, we can identify them, and with faith in God, we can slay them. So here, I hope you enjoyed the little exercise video. Hope it provides a little extra motivation for you. Whatever your Goliaths are out there, go after them with faith and faith in God. And so if you've never had the opportunity to listen to our podcast, I encourage you to check us out. You can find us on most any podcast platform. You can also check us out on YouTube. But most of our listens do come from the Apple Podcast platform. And if you have not had the opportunity or taken the opportunity to leave us a review and rating, would encourage you to do so. It would help us gain some traction, and also help us show up in other people's feeds that listen to similar things and similar podcasts. So We appreciate all the support, and we look forward to seeing you on the next podcast. And until next time, y'all keep on striving.